Other office hours. Here to answer questions, if anyone has any. All right. Rolando, are you there?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if anyone joins today, but David, Robert, Rolando, let me know if you guys have things you want to go over.
For anybody listening, you can also type in your questions using the Q&A button.
All right.
This might be a little bit basic, and this has already been covered in the feature video. But maybe let's show everybody how is it that they can start from scratch in order to use the budget planner. So just a general process of uh, using a quote template, updating the price list, and getting all the way from step 0 to using the budget planner.
What do you mean by step 0?
Uh, Instead of jumping straight into that, just a general process of somebody who still isn't fully using any of the features that depend on the budget planner, for example, the quotes. Uh, just as a general uh, guide. And I know this is already covered in other videos.
We can go
So
over it.
for anybody, yeah, for anybody that's tuning in, might be useful.
Yeah, we can go over it. Let's look. All right. So when you're working on a quote, at any time you can go into Budget Planner and you can play around with different scenarios around main home versus garage. And you can, so this quote has two structures here. And so we're able to choose and look at multiple structures. We can select what option, what upgrades. And we can play around with different scenarios around like which option they might choose for the main home. What if they don't choose the garage, to choose to do the garage, or if they do choose to do the garage. And we can look at different scenarios here around what that would look like with as far as total job price. What's the total job price going to be? What's commissions going to be? What's service tax going to be? What's the gross profit going to be? We have all of these different things that we can look at here. We can also, from this page, we could switch out what service taxes are being applied. We can also switch out what commissions are being applied, or what commission is being applied and who that commission is assigned to. So we have that ability to make changes here, but this is primarily an area to use just to be able to play around with different scenarios and see how the numbers play out depending on what the customer might choose when they sign the quote. Um, is that does that answer what you're looking for, Rolando?
Yeah, specifically going into what you mentioned, different scenarios. So what is like a usual scenario where somebody would use the budget plan? What might be an unusual one?
Like when would you use the budget planner?
Well, how you will use it in a typical scenario on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis, and for maybe use this feature in a different way that you will typically use it.
Yeah. So the main use case for the budget planner is to get a preview of what your final budget's going to look like. So we have the final budget tab that tells us the final gross profit, gross margin, the final revenue numbers, the final commission, the final tax. But these are all the final numbers after the job is all said and done. We're looking at the actual costs and the actual revenue and how that breaks down. The budget planner is just a way to plan that out and to try to project what that's going to be. So this is not any actual numbers that are being, paid. This is purely for if this quote gets sent. It's just a imaginary scenario here where the quote's getting sent. What would be the profit? What would be the service tax? What would be the commission if they chose the best option and didn't do the garage? And we can see that. Well, what if the customer did choose to do the garage? Okay, well now we can see that. So it's all about the hypothetical. There's two primary use cases here. One is you're a sales rep and you want to see how much commission you're going to make under certain scenarios. B is either the sales rep or a business owner, and you want to make sure that the job is going to be profitable and you're going to make a profit. So all of this down here is what really, specifically the commission and the gross profit. These are the two most important numbers on here. Like this stuff, like the it's all going to work out to what it's going to work out to as far as job price. But these are the numbers that you're looking for when you're using the budget planners. You want to see how much commission is going to get paid, and then how much gross profit is going to be made. And you're looking at the different scenarios and thinking about, okay, what if they do the seamless gutters? How is that going to change my gross profit? What if they just do good, but they, only do good on the main home? Am I still profitable? How much profit am I going to make in that scenario? And so you can really play out the different scenarios and see and make sure that under all the different scenarios, the job is still going to be profitable and you're not missing something somewhere. So it's a way of projecting into the future what might happen under specific circumstances.
Awesome, thanks.
Uh, you guys had questions?
Yes. So basically my question is we were talking about Xactimate that most most users will actually use Xactimate to when they have insurance projects. But is it is there any plans like in the future to have something connected to Xactimate, so they can automate that process using ProLine?
Um, I haven't heard any reason why that would be desirable. If somebody does think that it is desirable somehow, I would need to know a lot of details as to why it's desirable and how much time it's going to save, and then it needs to go onto the idea page. And then we can look at it. We'll investigate more. We'll have people vote on it. from my understanding of the insurance process in Xactimate, the Xactimate is just being used to calculate the price that you're proposing to the insurance company. And so, and if it's approved by the insurance company, then you're just going to take that number, that final price, and you're going to plug it into ProLine, and you're going to send your final contract through ProLine for that project. And you're just going to use the override instead of ProLine. And so the main and it's literally one number. So you would take the number from the Xactimate, and you would just have a single option. If it's an insurance job, you wouldn't be using structures, and I mean you could use structures, I guess, but it's mostly going to be one option. You're not going to have multiple options, and you can just go in and do a subtotal override and just make the price exactly the same as what's on the Xactimate. So since it's a single number that you're just copy pasting over, it doesn't really seem like there'd be any reason to have an integration. But if someone believes that that's important to have an integration, and what the benefits would be, then that would go on the feature page or on the ideas page, and we'll evaluate it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robert, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. If you go to manage team members under your account information, there are a couple other settings. Under click any of the accounts that you have set.
Huh?
Okay, yeah, the one that says other settings, those about forward calls to team members or send emails via team members. This is going to allow you to send emails on behalf of others, but does this work for regular team members or for the limited as well?
This would not work for limited. These would only work with regular. So the use cases for these is if you have a sales rep, this is uncommon, but it does come up, a sales rep that insists on doing everything everything manually. They don't want to use any of the automations in ProLine. They can disable all automated text and emails in ProLine, so even projects assigned to them won't have automated text and emails sent to them. This basically breaks ProLine, but it is for some companies, they might have a sales rep that's a high performer that's been on the team a long time and doesn't want to accept the automations. And so in order to not have that one person hold up getting ProLine implemented for everybody else, we implemented this option so that you can exclude that person from all the automations inside of ProLine. Not very common, but it does happen. Forward calls to team member. This is for incoming calls. Instead of those calls ringing to your call settings, which would be under account settings phone. So instead of it using your forward calls to number or your browser, it would use the other person's here instead. The only real use case there's two use cases for this. One is this user is on vacation, and so the owner would want to route calls to somebody else while that person's on vacation. Or this person has left the business and they still have their phone number set up and they haven't done what they need to do with their phone number. So this person has left the business but is still getting calls, and you want to route those calls to somebody else on the team that's going to actually answer them. So that's the two situations where this would be used. The send emails via team member, this is really rare that this needs to get used, but sometimes some companies, they want to send everything from the same email address or something like that. So it just means that when automated emails get sent from ProLine, it's going to use the email connection of the account that's been selected. That's all that this does is it doesn't allow, I can't remember what you were asking. but it's purely like nothing else changes inside of ProLine. Everything works exactly the same. It's just allowing, or it's just routing those automated emails through a different email account that's associated with another team member. So maybe only John has his email connected and everybody else in the team is going to send emails as John for some reason. It's an unlikely scenario, and it's usually the reason this might come up is usually because somebody on the team has done a bad job organizing. They haven't set up team member emails, work emails. They don't have like there's not a lot of good use cases for this, but it's more of a band-aid in case it's needed for one thing or another. So it's there if it's needed, but it's none of these get very used very often. They're all quite rare. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you, AJ.
Okay, perfect. I saw Nicole just joined us. Nicole, do you have any questions? We're just going through some different things, but we don't have anything specific that we're talking about. So Nicole, if you have any questions, please just put that. I can also allow you to talk. So if you just want to say your questions.
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions. Thank you though.
Okay, no worries. All right, Rolando, David, Robert, any other questions from you guys? Stuff you want to go over? Okay.
Not at the moment.
David.
Yes. So just like I don't know, I don't know if this is something that that's a good question, but what is the criteria that is followed whenever you set this type of queue context? Like for example, in a lead rehash campaign, because you set it for, well, it is by default 35 contexts per day. So what is the criteria? Does it prioritize the oldest contexts, the ones that you have for the longest time not being contact? I don't know if that makes sense.
So you're talking about because the primary use case for the queue contacts is going to be a lead rehash, right? So you're talking about lead rehash.
All right.
So for a list lead rehash doesn't even have one, so let me add one to it. So queue contacts. Okay, so 35 a day. So I didn't quite understand what you were asking. So can you repeat that?
Oh yes. So yeah, so it gives 35 days context per day, right? So in case that you have like a list of 100, 200 different contexts, it is prioritized in some way, or it just takes the first 35 and sends a context for the first 35.
Yeah, it's just going to be first come, first serve. So if you're, depending on how you're entering them in, this might change. Like if you're doing a CSV import, how you've set up that list, it's going to, I believe the CSV imports would start at the bottom, or start at the top. So the first item on that CSV import that you're pushing right into lead rehash would be part of that first 35. So the first 35 on that list will go first, and then the next 35. If you're adding people in using like all projects or all contacts, so these pages where you're doing filtering and then you're doing bulk edits. So you could do like a bulk edit and then campaign lead rehash. This will be the same thing. So it would just be whatever comes first on the list. So it would actually be alphabetical because this list is always sorted alphabetically. So it depends on like how you're entering people in, but the long and the short of it is it's just going to be the first come first serve. It's not the queue context does not resort it in any kind of way before running it through, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Let's say you run this campaign in a stage. Would the order be top to bottom? Let's say you just add all the context to a stage and you run this
Oh,
campaign
yeah.
in that stage.
So the scenario here would be we have a lead rehash stage like this that's triggering it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're moving things in, moving projects. So the reason it's queue contacts is because contacts are technically what run campaigns. So campaigns run on contacts, but where you can trigger them using projects, we can move a project into lead rehash, and that's going to trigger a campaign for the main contact on the project. So main contact here, it will trigger a campaign. So that's why it's queue contacts. That will change once we do the rebuild of workflows and they can run on anything. But for right now, it runs on contacts. But yeah, if you start adding in projects into lead rehash, it's going to start triggering that campaign for the associated main contacts, and it's going to be just in the order that they were added. So if we add Ethan Hunt first, then Ethan Hunt's contact, which is Ethan Hunt, normally it's going to match generally, is going to be the first contact that goes through that 35. And so that'll be number one. And then second one would be this if we moved it over. So yeah, it's in the order in which they were added to the stage.
What would happen if you add if you add two projects that have the same contact?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's gonna start for the first project. And then when you add the second project, it's actually nothing's gonna happen when you add the second project. The contact's already in the campaign and already running the campaign. It's not gonna restart the campaign. There's some scenarios in which ProLine would automatically restart the campaign. Some rare scenarios, mostly around event reminders. So like if an event gets rescheduled, ProLine will restart the campaign that's in. But other than that, because the contact already be in the campaign, it's not going to restart it. So there wouldn't be a concern there as long as that behavior is what you're looking for. But ProLine, so if you had 10 projects all with the same contact and you add all 10 projects, ProLine's not going to run it 10 times. The first time you add it, it's going to start the campaign, and then all the other ones are just going to get ignored because the contact's already in the campaign. Unless you're changing the campaign. So, if you have 10 projects and you add 9 of them to lead rehash, but then you add one of them to quote sent, that last one you moved, if it's going to quote sent, that contact's going to get pulled out of lead rehash and is going to run for whatever runs off of quote sent. And again, this is just how it works right now because we're running campaigns on contacts, but later on we're going to have simultaneous campaigns and workflows that run. So it won't work the same way in the future, but right now that's a limitation.
What's the ETA on that update?
We keep pushing
If there's
it back.
any.
We keep trying to work on it. It keeps getting pushed back because it's not pressing for most customers. It doesn't really bother most of our customers. It also is really hard to implement while we still have people on the legacy version of ProLine because the legacy version of ProLine is really built around contacts. So we're trying to avoid having two automation systems running at the same time. So we're going to be winding down the legacy version of ProLine by the end of this year. And so I think realistically, we're looking at probably either end of this year or early next year for that rebuild.
Thank you. Are there any other features that might be held back due to the legacy version still being used by our users? And can we expect new features once legacy users are converted to the CRM version next year?
That's really the only one. there's nothing else really that the legacy is holding us back on. It's really just the reworking of the automation engine. That's it. So, and like I said, it's something that we really want to do because it opens up a lot more power out of ProLine. It's going to help us work with some companies that, like commercial companies that we don't currently work with, but it hasn't been a major blocker for most ProLine users. So that's why we keep pushing it back. So I just saw Sheldon join. Sheldon, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll divert to covering that. All right. And anyone at all, if anyone has any questions, please put that in the Q&A or raise your hand, and we'll go over those. Any other questions? Anything anyone wants to go over? All right, Robert.
Yes, there is a way to see the contacts that are in a campaign, just as you, for example, see the ones that you have on new leads, a list like that.
Yep. So, depending on how you have your trigger set up, you should be able to roughly know what's in the associate campaign. So, like, if there is these 4 projects inside a quote sent, then we can assume that we have 4 contacts that are also in campaigns that are associated with quote sent. But that can be a multiple number of campaigns. So we know, so at a glance, we can kind of know what's going on by just looking at the projects, but it's not a one-to-one since the triggers can conditionally start different campaigns. But we can go into individual campaigns as well. And we can go to, for example, roof replacement follow-up, and we can see it right here inside. And everyone in ProLine has access to this area. Not everyone has access to edit it. So that's a big difference. But even like most basic users can access and view this page and just to see what's going on in here. And you can see that there's 2 contacts here. We can pull those up. These are contacts, not projects. So these are contacts that this is running on. Then we can also look for specifically where those contacts are. So we can see both contacts here, but we can, in these delays that are between different automated messages, we can actually see where specific contacts are. So we can like find the specific contacts in here as well. So that's one way. You can get to that page just by looking at view campaigns. So you can click into here, view full campaign, and then you can go this direction as well. You can also go to all contacts, and you can just search by campaign. So you could say, show me everyone that's in roof replacement follow-up. And so you can see it that way. I think with all projects, all projects would just be stage, not campaigns, but you can do it on the all contacts page. So number of different ways to see who's in a campaign. Okay.
Very nice. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Sheldon is saying app's still crashing on my cell. We are still working on that this week, Sheldon. So we are going to be doing a number of different performance improvements on the mobile app to work on crashing, mostly around quoting. Is the app still crashing outside of quoting, or is it just quoting when it's crashing? Is there other things that you're doing that it's crashing as well?
It's easier to just talk versus typing
Yeah.
all that. It crashes, I guess, when I'm moving too fast in general, all the way around the quote, all the way around the app. So, like on the way here, Open the app and we just load and we'll load and we'll load. Or if I open it and then I start clicking through fast because my brain is working too fast and I need to get to somewhere, it's gonna time out, reset, time out, reset. So just one of them things.
Even when you're not working inside a quote.
I can't even get to the quote. There's a lot of times I'm on a inspection or I'm on a site and I'm trying to get to the quote. I can't make it to the quote.
Got it. So you've tried closing out the other apps that are running in the background on your phone?
No, because I never had really much issues until the update.
Yeah.
I think I more obvious issues till the update. So I never thought I had to close out on my phone specifically.
That will help in the meantime is just closing up other apps that are running in the background. Most of the problem is the quotes, the new quotes. There's just more going on with the new quotes. So it's sucking more of the memory than it was previously. There's more calculations going on, more accurate calculations. So we're going to be working on pulling quotes into their own page that's separate from the rest of the app. That's the biggest change we're going to be making, and that should make both pages more stable. So we're working on it this week. So by the end of this week, we should have it stable where you should be able to access quotes and have it not be crashing while you're working on them. But part of it also, the app that we have now is not ever going to be perfect in this regard. It's always going to be a little slow and a little prone to, especially if it's been open for more than a couple days or you have a lot of stuff going on your phone in the background, it's just going to crash regardless. But it shouldn't be crashing continuously back to back. That's what we're trying to avoid. But we do need to rebuild the app in general. It's just a big undertaking, which is why it is on this page. So faster, better mobile app. So I don't know if you've already voted on this or not. If it's something that's important to you, you can go vote on it. Just keep in mind that this is a major undertaking. It's going to take away our focus from other features that we're building. So just keep that in mind if you're going to go vote on it, that it means deprioritizing other features that we have in the pipeline in order to work on this for probably up to 6 months, because it's a really, really big undertaking. But regardless, this week we're working to try to make the current app as usable as possible. It's just not going to be as smooth and fast as, Instagram or Facebook or these other apps that have been polished and built from the ground up to not crash. So, yeah, it won't be perfect, but we're going to get a lot better this week.
That's it for now for me. All the other questions I had was what's his name, Roberto? The tech guy that you have working?
Rolando?
Rolando.
Yeah.
Rolando, I've already met with him and he pretty much has all my stuff or whatever I needed fixed. So
Good.
tickets already went in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Rolando knows what he's doing. So,
Yeah, we created a few tickets regarding those issues, and these were the tickets that we were talking about on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
AJ, yeah.
Yeah, all those should be fixed. Other than there was one. There's a couple things. Did you get the text formatting? Did you get that working?
On which page?
It should work on a quote, for example, the terms and conditions. If you use the clear formatting button, and you can then apply formatting again. But moving forward, any new quotes that you create shouldn't have the formatting issue. It's just that porting all previous formatting to the new quote system kind of broke it. But you can use the clear formatting button to clear the formatting on the previous quotes that you generated and reapply the formatting.
Yeah, we tried our best to try to get it to carry over the old formatting, but it's just really, really hard. And so we did fix some of the bugs, tried to make it work, but it just it depended so much on how much formatting someone had added and where that format came from. So yeah, if you're still having issues with it, just go into the page, select all your text, remove the formatting. That'll bring it back to the defaults, and then reformat as desired from there, and it should then work as expected. So there was another thing. I think that was the main stuff though. And then we fixed Sheldon, can you confirm that today you're not getting that weird behavior on the tabs? Like it's all the tabs look normal now?
Oh, that was on the quote tab for me was off.
It was still off?
No, I'm gonna check. I'll check now.
Okay.
Yes, it's good.
Okay. Awesome. Good to hear. There was, oh yeah, I think that was a good suggestion on the just do this.
Oh, the signature page.
The signature, I did change that. Yeah, it should be a lot better now, a lot closer to the way it was originally. So let me go in here. Single color, we'll do gutter color. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. So this one has two structures, so it's still pushing that to a second page, but if it only had one structure, I think it would be, if we deselect garage, I think it would have all three of those lines on the same page. I shrunk it down substantially and made it a lot more compact.
Would
They
it be
were fairly
possible
big
to
before.
add an option to toggle how it's generated on the quote? Because what Sheldon wanted was that the line doesn't cover the entire horizontal space, but rather just as much as the text option was written in. So for example, you could have it very similar to what you have in this same page for the main home and the options and for the options and the upgrades. So something similar. Would it be possible to have that option maybe as a toggle?
I think I'm confused on what you're asking.
I'm confused too.
All right. So right
real
now,
quick, real
yeah.
quick, Sheldon, was this what you were looking for, or not?
Yeah, well, I was just trying to at least have it on one page. Yeah, so I wouldn't have notes or anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it multi, but just try to have everything on one page because what was happening was the shingle color would be one line, then the gutter color, where you have right there would be like two spaces in between.
Yeah.
So it would be all spread out. So,
Yeah.
but you shrunk it down. So I mean that should work now.
Okay.
Because technically you won't see that until you go to the next page where you sign it. Then you see it up on the right side.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
I just wanted to see everything on one page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we fill this out, and then it will get filled in a little differently. But Rolando, what does that clarify, or are you still confused? Are you still looking for clarification? Or what was your
Well,
idea?
basically, I was suggesting adding the option to display it as it's currently displayed, or have the option to be more compact. But if I guess this works.
So you're saying have it even more
Basically
compact?
presented the same way that options and upgrades are presented.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, to have it shrunk down to that size?
yeah, and kind of like frame with a border and everything.
oh, put it in another box. He's pretty much saying you got
Yeah.
options, upgrades, and then you pick your color, kind of like the same rectangle. So you will push authorizations down and the summary down. Then it'll be a third box, options, upgrades. Then that's what he's probably saying.
Yeah.
Would it be a box around each one, or would it be a box around all of them?
All of them.
Yeah, it will look like the options and upgrades box, pretty much. He's saying like
So
a border around that.
yeah, no, that makes sense. One of the things with these boxes is that if one of these boxes gets pushed partway off the page, it just moves it entirely to a second page. Would that be the desired behavior? Is to have like if these items, like if notes and comments was getting pushed
Yeah.
to the next page, move
Yeah, I don't
all
think we
of them?
want it pushed to another page though.
I mean, it could be fine. It's just because in this scenario, it wouldn't get pushed to another page. It would have a box here, but that's part of the behavior of these boxes is that they keep everything together. So like if the end of the page ends here, we would push the signature to the next page, and we would have that same behavior if we added a box here. I don't know, but
I
I
guess
see what you're saying.
the box would just be for presentation, pretty much,
Yeah.
just to make it seem more cohesive.
Yeah, this is just a suggestion based on feedback from some customers.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
just
call it
shrinking
like
it down,
additional.
it's good enough so far.
Okay, but maybe call it like additional items or something, additional info.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, yeah, that's let's if it works the way it is, let's add it as an idea. And or Rolanda, why don't you add it under your name and add it as an idea on here? And
Sure.
or I guess this is under the demo account. So yeah, we'll consider it, especially if it's getting votes. It's not that hard of an ad. We've just been changing so many things on quotes, so we're trying to slow it down. So if that works right now the way it is, then we'll probably leave it for a minute unless there's a lot of votes for it. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Sheldon, anything else you wanted to cover?
My other thing was the cash discount for my account was just weird. The cash discount thing.
Oh yeah, I did rework that to clarify it. So yeah, the problem is that it's the cash discount is something that gets added under when you both are adding the card fee to the margin and passing it along in your billing settings. So the number one prereq, if you want to add the cash discount, is adding it on the invoicing tab. You would just pass along card fees to customer. That's the first thing you got to do. Then on either your quotes or your quote templates, and I made this easier. I simplified it by that's getting pretty big. All right, I simplified this by turning it into a single checkbox now. So I just have build card fee into profit margin and add matching cash discount. So it's just putting them both together. And so because that's what they are together. So like if you're passing the card fee in your settings, then when you turn on building the card fee in, you'd also be adding a cash discount. Otherwise, you'd be double charging. So if you don't want to have a cash discount, you can just deselect this. If you do want to have a cash discount, then have it selected, and you can set the default in your quote templates. So inside of your quote template here, you can set the default behavior here to be yes or no for all the quotes that you create with that template. Does that help?
For my account though, when you go in any one of those accounts, one of those quotes,
Yeah.
you scroll down, you could turn it on. Click the blue build card fee. You could click that on
Yep.
and then scroll down. Oh, did you move it?
Oh, right here.
Yeah, mine is off. I don't have that ability. Where it says cash discount, I can't do anything with that.
Yeah, you can't. So this is just automatically shown here as a discount if you have that enabled. So if you want to remove that, you would just deselect this.
I don't, it can't work for me. It doesn't work.
So what happens when you toggle this? It does or doesn't show this.
Oh, it goes away now. But then, so let's say if I do click it, how do I put it to the 3.2% if I want to take that off?
So are you saying that you do or don't want a cash discount?
I do want to offer a cash discount, but I never had the ability to adjust what that 3.2 is where you have it.
Oh, it's based. I don't have the ability to change it either. So it's based on your card fee, your ProLine card fee for invoicing. So it's the card fees for ProLine are 3.2% when you process cards. So that's what the cash discount and the build. It's all locked together. You can't customize it.
So, because I just had 2 quotes signed today, if I look at it, if I look at mine, it's still just gonna say 0. But maybe I didn't have that
Well,
check.
oh wait, yours says 0 here?
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Oh. But it does say cash discount, but it says 0.
Yeah, it's always said 0.
Oh, okay. Give me a second, because your account was a legacy account that got upgraded, and so it's possible that there is just some information missing around your merchant account. Yeah, okay. All right, 1 second. Just stay on and we'll verify that this fixes it. Okay. All right, can you check it now and let me know if it's
Yep, I see it. I seen it as it happened.
Okay.
Immediately.
All right, good. Yeah, sorry about that. That was it's your account was just missing the numbers that needed to be there. Because it was both of them are pulling that. I mean, it's not going to mess up your calculations. It just would have been zero. Like zero would have been added to the card fee or added to the margin, and zero would have been discounted. So, yeah,
Yeah,
now
it's
it should
been
be.
zero. Then I'm not sure if I've been eating the card fees, but it is what it
No,
is.
yeah, no, it wouldn't have eaten the card fees. It would have passed the card fees. Still, that part shouldn't have been affected in any way. This would have just from a quoting perspective, the cart cash discount was working out to zero. But yeah, it's still would have passed along, I believe. Anyway, definitely will be good to go moving forward.
I got another one. What about I went into the settings. I turned off the ACH because I'm impatient when waiting on money.
Yeah.
So I turned off the ACH, but then it turned off the credit button as well.
Oh yeah, I did fix that, I believe. So if we turn off invoice or ACH, so no ACH, and then we go to, yeah, it should be good to go now. It's just gonna have, ooh, that's not good. I'm gonna have to check it here too. It's not supposed to be clickable here. So let me I gotta fix that. It shows this now, but this shouldn't be clickable. Or actually it shouldn't show this at all. It should just be on credit debit. So I'll fix that tonight. I didn't check on that part of it. But it does show the pay online button now. And it will not let them pay with ACH just because it's gonna look messed up. So, um, but we'll get that completely smoothed up tonight. All right. Anything else?
See, I think that's it for now. If anything else, I'll let y'all know. I'm always clicking through here.
Yeah. Just let us know and we will get it. We'll get it worked out. Yeah. Yeah. It just needs to be disabled properly. So, okay. Cool. Well, thanks for hopping on, Sheldon, going over that. And that I'm glad we caught this part of it. So, all right. We'll wrap it up there and see everybody next week.